pride, and it is with great pleasure I announce today that for the first time in this school's history, the East Tennessee State University Marching Bucs has been selected to represent this university and the great state of Tennessee and perform in New York City in the 2024 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
The way the university bought into and supported this whole process has been amazing to me. It almost felt like it wasn't the ETSU band in the parade, it was ETSU in the parade.
And I've grown up watching the Macy's Day Parade. My mom would tell me sometimes, like, one day you'll be doing that. Now I get to call her and say, hey mom, you'll be able to see me performing in the Macy's Day Parade. Hey mom.
Once I walked in the room and saw all the cameras and all the people, I was like, okay, this really has to be a big deal. I'm very, very excited to be a part of the Marching Bucs, and now to be able to be going to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade with them is just so exciting.
It was really special because my neighbor was able to bring my dad down to attend, and my dad's 93 and always been a big supporter. And I knew they were going crazy. And I was actually on the front row, and Donna Nolan was sitting beside me, and she nudged me. She said, have you turned around? And I said, no. And I turned around. It was confetti, but there were hugs and tears and their faces. It made it all worthwhile.
A decade ago, a gentleman walked into my office with a dream. And it was a dream that at that point in time really didn't have a lot of substance around it. Because we didn't have uniforms, we didn't have tubas, we didn't have anything. But we had a dream. And that dream comes to full circle today. So please join me again in a round of applause and recognition for the gentleman whose dream came to reality today, Dr. Joe Moore.
Seeing Dr. Moore talk to all of us at the end of Thanksgiving dinner, it was a very emotional moment. It's just because I care so much about Dr. Moore. I see Dr. Moore as this big family member in my life. And I remember him talking about it, that this was his dream, and he was going to finally get to live it out with us.
The band had been dormant for about 12 years. Any of the equipment, uniforms, any of that had been, given away. When I was honored to have been given the position, I was excited about the opportunity. It was a little daunting. I've never started a program from scratch, and that's literally what was happening. The largest the band had ever been in the school's history had been about 180 members. When the band went away in 2002, I think, they had roughly around 60 members. There's an organization called the College Band Directors National Association, and they have a formula that generally enrollment for a college band should be about 1% of the undergraduate enrollment, which would have put us around 130. And so I thought, that's a pretty good goal. I had no idea that it would grow the way it did, and that we would end up taking 360 members to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It still blows my mind. I started applying in 2019, and then I applied 2021, 22, and that's the 22 application is when we were selected. It was a rigorous process, and usually a much smaller number of college bands than high school bands are selected for the parade, so it makes it even a little tougher. I got a phone call from the coordinator for the parade. He said, can we set up a Teams meeting? And I thought, oh man, I've messed up something on the application, or I left something out. When he finally said, we would like to invite you to be a part of the 2024 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, I was a little bit in shock. I mean, my jaw hit the ground. To equate this to the Super Bowl of the marching band world, absolutely accurate. There are a lot of people who apply. In fact, one of my colleagues told me that a friend of his from another institution in another state, after he had heard we were in, texted him and he said, "We've been applying for 7 years and can't even get looked at. How did you all get in?" And so for us, as a relatively new band, only 10 years old, for us to be selected is just, it's amazing. And it's a testament to the kind of kids that we have.
I told people that it's kind of like we got to play for the Super Bowl. I knew I was going to get to be able to live out those dreams with her by my side. And I couldn't ask to spend that opportunity with anybody else because she is my best friend. I just know that when we are older and we have families of our own and children of our own, we'll sit down together and we'll play those videos for each other and our kids and be able to tell them about how their mothers got to live out this dream together in New York.
Getting to start my time at ETSU with the year that we went to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was really special, and because I didn't see what the band went through over the past 10 years, I just see what they are now, which is really phenomenal. So it's really been quite a joy to work with them, and I see endless possibilities with the group in the future.
It's a dream come true for me, probably the pinnacle of my career. And there were so many people, that helped us get there. Our staff and our students, and the students that had come before that had paved the way for it.
To me, the Marching Bucs means family. I came from a high school that had a relatively average size band at about 100. And I was really worried because college marching bands are so much larger. I was worried that I wouldn't feel that same sense of family, but immediately I did. The band was built out of nothing, and here we are 10 years later. We just performed on the biggest stage for marching band ever. So to me, it's resilience and family and passion.
It had been like 32 years since I marched, and it was just like, this is incredible. Just the feeling and the audience and the whole showtime experience. But it was unreal. Definitely with the pandemic, with COVID, I worked like 60 plus hours in driving for really like 2 years, got completely just burnt out. And one day I was flipping through YouTube watching marching band videos, and I came across ETSU. So I thought, what the heck, I'll give it a shot, and literally had no idea if I could make it through even 10 days of band camp. I was 46.
When I first started at ETSU, that was when the band really started to take off. And it was a huge experience for me. I remember the first football game, I was completely mesmerized by the stadium that I think I kind of forgot how to twirl for the first few minutes. I just remember when the band first started playing, I was able to bring a performance version of myself that I didn't used to have before when I was in high school.
I think we draw students and we retain students because they like the atmosphere of being in the marching band. It's a very cohesive group. It's a very accepting group.
When I became a member of the Marching Bucs after being a pharmacist for so long, was amazing. It made me feel younger, made me feel alive inside for the first time in a while, honestly. The Marching Bucs, to me, is family. It's friendship, pride, and passion, but it's also more than that. It's community, it's love, it's definitely taking care of each other. But for me personally, it's just like the biggest honor and privilege to be a part of.
Because we all work together, we all do our part. There's no part that is lesser than one. And so it's not complete unless we're all together.
The way the university as a whole has bought into and supported this whole process has been amazing to me. Not just financial support, which obviously we needed, but the community and the university stepped up so much to help us. It's like everybody wanted to make it the best it possibly could be, and I've never seen that happen with any other school. The fundraising was the daunting part for sure, but in talking with President Noland and with others in administration, they gave me the secure feeling of we're going to make this happen. So luckily, we had Denise Asbury and others with the university and then the foundation jump in to start helping and soliciting donations. We did the band gala as a fundraiser, which was a chance to showcase our students' talents and to bring in some potential donations. For the Day of Giving that was an emphasis. I know we received donations from all across the country, and it just blew my mind. I found on my desk a Christmas card from a lady from Colorado that I don't know, I'd never heard of. She just simply said, "I saw your band march and play on Thanksgiving. You were wonderful. Your region has had a tough fall. Merry Christmas." And she included a donation to the band for it. And I'm just thinking, somebody watching TV in Colorado, was impressed enough or felt moved enough to reach out to us and to send us a donation. I probably have no idea how many people we have reached that we won't know about, but they saw us, or now they know about us. And to me, that's exciting. Putting ETSU on the map, putting Johnson City and the region on the map.
I would love for the Marching Bucs to see this as a trampoline to bounce off of and say, what's next? What can we accomplish next? People know us now. We're not the small regional school anymore. We were on a national stage. I want the Marching Bucs to realize the sky is the limit and that we can achieve anything. My mother marched in the Macy's parade when she was a senior in high school in 1991. And then my older sister marched when she was a freshman in college in 2019. And then I got to march this past year. It was kind of like getting struck by lightning while getting struck by lightning, with just the chance of all three of us being in a family and all getting to experience this once in a lifetime thing. It felt so surreal that I was going to be able to carry this tradition on that my family had started.
I had been in the parade as an undergraduate in college. So for me, there wasn't a lot of fear around it because I've done it before, and just a lot of excitement knowing what that means to the students in the community. All the work leading up to the parade and being selected for the parade had nothing to do with me. So I'm very humbled by their work ethic and just all the excitement in all the different parts of the university coming together to support the band was really special.
We have a wonderful football crowd. Very supportive, wonderful student section. They sit beside us and a lot of times do the same dances in the stands that we do. And when halftime comes, people stay and watch, or if there's a reason that we have to wait and perform after the game, we have people that stay after the game to watch. We're reaching the audience. They enjoy what we do. They look forward to seeing us, and that just is validation that we're doing the right things.
I'm reminded of the chant that Dr. Moore leads us in after every practice. At the end of the chant, he says, "Who do we take care of?" And we reply, "Our own people." And I think that's what family is to the Marching Bucs. We are a group of people from different backgrounds, different areas. We all play different instruments. Everyone's so unique and special, but we are a group of people that take care of each other. Being in a small town that's hidden in the mountains, you don't think about a hurricane hitting your town and wiping out entire communities. And as images began to flood in, it was just truly devastating seeing the houses and restaurants that I grew up eating at, and churches and roads that I would take every day just be absolutely wiped away.
I was in my boyfriend's house for 2 weeks with no power or water, so I know it was really cut off from the outside world. And we waited 3 hours in line before we even got into a grocery store. And there was just no access to anything really. So I would commute to band practice 3 times a week, and my drive time was about an hour 20. After the storm hit, since Tennessee I-26 got destroyed, it wanted me to go a different way, and that way was almost 4 hours. Since I was kind of cut off, ETSU provided me free on-campus housing and a free meal plan. I think it proves, like what Dr. Moore says at the end of our band chants, that we take care of our own people and that we are here for each other.
I didn't hear from my family for, some of them was about 3 weeks up to a month. It was really scary not getting to talk to them, especially my grandmother. She lives all the way up in Butler by herself. That entire community was taking her food, taking her water, and providing her with company.
The community had to work together to cut down these trees one by one and be able to make a path. They were scared. We have two one-year-old and a 3-month-old, so we needed clean water for them specifically.
The week following the flood, I had actually considered dropping out of the marching band and ETSU for a semester, and I felt so bad for my community and felt like I needed to be out there to volunteer and support them. Just through the encouragement and support of some of my friends and peers and the staff at ETSU, fortunately I did decide to continue with band and with school that semester, and it was such a good decision. I think that we needed to be able to represent this area and the Appalachian people. Being able to show the perseverance that we have through difficult hardships and situations.
The students that we have here are very resilient. I know that a lot of them were certainly affected by the hurricane in ways that I can't imagine, and it puts everything in perspective. Of course, school is important and jobs are important, but people's lives were in danger and their homes were in danger.
We had a number of students directly impacted by Helene, lost homes, lost possessions. A lot of our kids were going and they were shoveling mud out of people's homes and working at distribution centers. It also showed us the resilience and the unity of our region. And maybe honed in our focus that we were going to be able to go and represent this region to the whole nation.
Even though we all come from small communities and whatnot, small communities live a big impact, and ETSU is nothing but proof of that.
We're resilient, and we will get through this, and I know we will get back stronger than we were even before. I think the waters were high here in Appalachia, but I'm sure that we will rise higher.
We would like to announce that the majorettes and the color guard of East Tennessee State University have been invited to open the performance of the Radio City Music Hall Christmas Spectacular.
After we had just finished performing and they announced, you're going to be performing at the Radio City Music Hall, I remember, I think I physically dropped down to the ground and started crying. I remember running around to the other side of the field, and Dr. Moore came around the other side, and I remember hugging him. And I was just like, this is happening. Like, we have got to prepare because we are about to live our dream out on the stage where the Rockettes dance every single year.
Please welcome the East Tennessee State University Marching Bucs Color Guard and Majorettes.
I was just standing there staring at everyone in the audience, and I just remember I was like, this is happening. And I remember seeing Dr. Nolan and his wife walk in, and obviously everybody in the ETSU Marching Bucs was there. There was family and friends, and I just remember thinking to myself, we have got to go out there and we have got to make them proud, and we have to enjoy this moment because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
But I was really nervous to be on this stage. But once I got up there, everything went right. My favorite part of being there was performing and also watching the Rockettes. That was a very out-of-body experience.
My first immediate reaction was to find my sister as we were coming off the stage, and me and her were just like, I can't believe we did that. And everybody's screaming, and we were walking up the aisle, and there's all these people that were telling us that was so good. And I remember me and her looking at each other and being like, can we go do it again? And I just remember feeling so proud of myself and proud of everybody else that was on the stage with me. And I knew that everybody, including Dr. Moore and all the rest of the faculty members, were so proud of us. If I went back in time and told my younger self, like, hey, you twirled at ETSU for 6 years, and you did a performance at Radio City Music Hall, and you marched in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, I'd probably be like, you're joking. I don't think I would believe it.
We started preparing early in the semester, and this was the first time as a band that we've traveled. And so we organized our student leaders, and we had a leadership team and a loading crew team, and section leaders had checklists, and each member had to get their uniform and show their section leader every single part was there. The biggest challenge was making sure we could get everything underneath the buses. It was almost like a game of Tetris, trying to get luggage and instruments and everything. And then just the excitement and the adrenaline. And then we knew we had a 3 a.m. rehearsal in front of the cameras that morning. We just didn't go to sleep Wednesday night because we knew we were going to have to load the buses about 1:30, and 360 people, 8 charter buses, they were loaded. They were ready to go. They were in their uniform. They had their instruments. They were hyped about it. We knew that for the performance that we would be in a waiting area, and we had to be ready to go. And the second we got the cue that we had to move immediately and all that, and we tried to practice and simulate it as much as we could, but there's nothing like being there. The first time we didn't quite hit the marks the way we needed to, and I talked to them about guiding off what they could see, a camera here or a window of a building here, and then the second time they nailed it. And I was so happy for them.
It's incredible because of how much connection we make with other people, and that's something that Dr. Moore speaks about a lot. Is he says, don't forget that it's not just a sea of people. There's individuals up there. He said, connect with somebody. And I truly think that every performance that we do, every note that we play, connects with somebody on some level.
We're standing there, Central Park's to the left, the streets here with the floats, Adina's going by, waving at us. Right here is Minnie Mouse, all these skyscrapers. We're getting ready to start. Even though I'm almost 50 years old, here I am like a 5-year-old.
Before the parade, Adina Menzel was coming out of a vehicle going on top of the float, and the drumline yelled at her and she waved back at us, that was insane.
We were standing there waiting to go on, and there were all these live news camera stations. So they would be pulling us by, like, do you want to do a live story? So we ended up doing our Go Bucs Go cheer.
Go, go, Bucs, go! Go, Bucs, go!
And I just remember looking at everyone and saying, we are about to be on national television. We are about to do the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. We're about to live out our dreams. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Yes, it's raining. Yes, we're freezing, but we have got to go out there and just make it count.
I didn't want the audience to be spectators, but I wanted them to be participants. And so I wanted something that they would recognize, that they would groove to, that they would dance to, that they would clap along with. And I came up with the idea of doing Jumping the Line. The weather was horrible that morning. I don't think it dampened the spirit of the audience. Several people deep on each side of the road and looking up, people hanging out of the windows of the skyscrapers. I really feel like that my kids spread a little bit of sunshine, happiness, and that's what we wanted.
I can't even begin to describe the feelings that I had during the Macy's parade. It was rainy and cold, but Once we got onto the streets and started walking, everything just faded away. I was soaking wet, I couldn't feel my fingers, but none of those things mattered. It was just so cool to be there in front of so many people. I mean, just the noise from the crowd was just like roaring, and there were people everywhere. There were people hanging from the rooftops, people on balconies. The streets were just crowded. It was such an overwhelming feeling of just excitement and energy that it was like overwhelming to me almost. Like I got out there, I was like, wow, this is incredible. There are so many people here. Like I couldn't even, my thoughts weren't even cohesive at that point because I was so excited. I remember looking over to one of my friends and being like, whoa, this is insane. We're actually here at the Macy's parade.
I remember seeing some people that I don't think they knew who ETSU was, but they were like, ETSU, Johnson City, Tennessee, and they were just like screaming our school name. They were cheering us on. There was multiple people that could probably tell we were freezing, and they just kept going, you got this.
And all the kids on the sides, they were so cute. And you're like, oh my gosh, like that is so cool. Like, how are they doing that? I know at least one kid was gonna be like, I want to do that.
Occasionally I would look from side to side and try to interact with the crowd. And I remember seeing this little girl in the audience, and she had a sign that she was holding up that said, I'm only here for the twirlers. And when I saw that, I think my heart stopped for a second. That little girl is watching me live out a dream that she probably also has as well. That was a moment that I will remember forever.
My mom had actually texted me once the band had gotten down to New York City and said, hey, your fourth grade teacher messaged me and told me that she's gonna be there to watch the parade. I honestly don't know how I saw her in the crowd of all those people. I mean, there were people everywhere, millions of people, and she just happened to be on the corner of the street right towards the front, and I just saw her cheering and heard her voice, and once I recognized it was her, I was like, oh my goodness, that's my fourth grade teacher.
And we did see several ETSU signs and crowds yelling and supporting us. It was just so exciting, and it was just unforgettable.
Most performers know that when you get to the actual performance, it's usually over before you realize it. You're like, wait, what did that just happen? And so I talked to them about, but we don't want it to be over, and then you're like, oh, wait. And so I talked to them a good bit about soaking it in. And, taking in that experience, because it really is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I wanted all of us to enjoy it, but also to be able to remember it.
The moment probably that is most important to me is just marching down, and seeing Radio City Music Hall, and just all of these monumental things, and just knowing, we're about to hit Herald Square. And it was just this euphoric, energetic feeling that I wish everybody could experience at least once.
This band said they wanted to perform a song that would help everyone feel connected today. And you know what? Why not make it a little groovy too?
Here with their rendition of Happy Together under the direction of Joe Moore and Timothy Lohman, here are the East Tennessee State University Marching Buccaneers.
Getting to Herald Square, that was insane. I look ahead of me and there's Indina Menzel performing, and there's these iconic floats and all these things that I've seen over the years growing up watching the Macy's parade. It's like, wow, I'm here.
As we were approaching Herald Square, when we were in the quiet zone, there was a bunch of children lined up on the side. And I turned to somebody else on the drum line and I said, I feel really bad that they're waiting out in the rain and they don't even get to hear us play. And so a lot of us on the drum line had extra drumsticks, and we just started giving them to the group of kids on the side, and their faces just lit up, and I could just see the inspiration on their face and how happy that made them.
We were able to watch what the NBC coverage looked like. We saw that, from the beginning to the end of our performance was covered on NBC, and they saw all the different elements. They saw the majorettes, the color guard. They were on individual performers, and the formations all looked great, and they saw the banner unfurl, and there was a great pulled back image at the end that saw the confetti on the ground. It seemed like it went really well, but then getting to see it what it looked like on TV was really satisfying because it looked great.
They had finished and were coming off Herald Square. I could tell from their faces that it had gone incredible. They knew they had done a phenomenal job, and that meant everything to me, knowing they were happy with it.
I will say this, that was the longest minutes of my life. I felt like we were standing there for an eternity. But once we finally went out, it went by so quick. I remember we hit our ending pose and I just started sobbing. And you could see me walking by in the background, and I turned around and I looked at Carly. And Carly was also sobbing. We just started hugging each other. And we grabbed my coach's cell phone and immediately took a selfie. We're completely drenched. There's mascara running down our faces. And we just took a selfie and we're both just screaming into the camera. It was amazing. And I don't think I'll ever be able to relive an experience like that again.
So after we had completed the parade, we were going underneath Madison Square Garden to get out of the rain for a little bit, and my boyfriend at the time said to me, "Why don't you take your drum off?" And I said, "Well, why? We don't know if we're staying here." And then he said, just take your drum off. And next thing I know, half of the drum line has their phones out recording, and my boyfriend gets down on one knee and proposes to me right after the parade. And I never understood what people meant by saying they were speechless until I was in that moment, because we had just performed, just done this once in a lifetime opportunity that I had worked for years and dreamt of for years. And then I was getting proposed to. Everybody was soaking wet, but we were surrounded by our friends and family, and I wouldn't have had it any other way.
If I could go back and tell my little 4 or 5-year-old self, who would be sitting on the couch with her dog and her hot chocolate, watching the parade and oohing and awing over the Rockettes and the marching bands, I would tell her, that's gonna be you one day, whether you believe it or not. That's gonna be you one day.
Whenever I went to watch my sister perform in the parade, I was standing there and thinking, wow, this is incredible. But I'll never get to achieve this. I never thought in a million years that would have happened to me. And so, just like growing up and watching my mom tell us how she performed in the parade, and then see my sister to do it, and then go along the same parade route, was just incredible, and something I will never forget.
I'm so proud of them. Of what they accomplished, of the things that they overcame. It was difficult practicing. We don't have any streets wide enough on campus to practice. Dr. Nolan was able to get us into Bristol Motor Speedway for a practice. Our color guard uniforms, literally the night before is when we finally got the rest of them so that they could all have uniforms. There were just little setbacks along the way, but they were just troopers the whole time.
Thanksgiving is about gratefulness, and it's about being with the ones you love. And I can't think of a better way to spend this Thanksgiving. I will say, you were the best band in the parade. A real good friend of mine texted me, and his text simply read, repertoire, check. Banner? Check. Confetti? Check. He said, you won Macy's.
I just remember being at the dinner and Dr. Moore giving a speech, and it just like everything hit me like at once, and I just like started sobbing, and my fiance was like, what's wrong? And I was like, nothing. We just did this parade, we just accomplished this incredible thing, I just got engaged, like it was one of the greatest nights ever.
Macy's Star, but it's presented to a group that exhibits the spirit of the parade.
I was just overwhelmed with pride for the leadership that Dr. Moore has shown, just the way that he has represented the ETSU Marching Bucs and has helped to just be an advocate for the ETSU band and for the people on this campus. I'm so proud of Dr. Moore. I'm so proud of Dr. Nolan. It's just so awesome to be represented by people who care about the students, by people who care about the community, and people who are willing to serve and lead in a way that represents this area well.
Remember this feeling. Remember the feeling of pride. Remember the feeling of accomplishment. But remember the feeling of this moment. Tonight is a night in which dreams came true. You all enjoy tonight. And as we say back in Johnson City, Tennessee, Godspeed.
Whenever I was looking into colleges, I was nervous about going to a big school because I was thinking, the marching band director won't care about me if I'm one of 400 people. But I was so incredibly wrong because Dr. Moore is just one of the most personal people ever. And to have our president of the university not only hand out pizza to us after every single halftime performance, but to go to New York and to congratulate all of us firsthand, it is very rare to find that in a university, to have leadership and administration that cares so much about the person.
ETSU Marching Bucs are the most amazing family I know. And I am so happy and proud to be a part of that family.
The thing I would want people to take away the most from my experience and the entire marching band's experience is that don't let a dream be a dream. I always watched the parade and thought, that'll never be me, that'll never happen. But it did. And just always realize that anything that you think is capable is capable. There's no limit to anything.